Hey everybody, composer Tim Corpus here with the dog, having a Kong, and we're back with some more Dorico tutorial shorts. We're going to take a look at some cool little tips, tricks, things in Dorico with these short tutorials. So use the description below to fast forward and find the tips or the questions that you're looking for the answers to. And if you haven't seen the previous Dorico shorts, there's a lot on the channel, so go check those out. There's also some live streams that I did with taking apart and, well, trying to make the parts look pretty for my string quartet number 1, which I originally did in Finale, and then was moving over to Dorico. Lots of stuff going on the channel, so be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and you can also become a member and support all the stuff that we're doing here. So let's dig in and take a look at Dorico. And for the record, because I was asked this recently, I am using the most up-to-date version. So if you're unfamiliar on how to update, I think I have a video about that. So go check that out to make sure that you have the most up-to-date version of Dorico to work with. So this first one I want to check out is a simple one, but very useful, especially if you're teaching lessons, which is adding comments. We're back in our shorts document, and I just want to add a comment in here for, somebody else or to look at later. All right, so we're going to select our note here and we're going to add a comment. So we'll use our jump bar here, hit J, and now let's just type in comment. And you can see we have create comment. It's also Alt plus C. So we'll just go ahead and type in this. This is a note. Hit OK. And we can see we have this little symbol here. Let me zoom in. And right here, we have a little comment. We could do it again here. Now I'm going to hit Alt plus C and add a second comment. And again, we can see that here. This is just a helpful thing for if you're teaching or if you need to make notes for yourself for later. A really simple thing that was asked for a while was a tempo tap. Something where you could click and tap the tempo in, and then that you could find out whatever tempo that was. So perhaps you wanted to find 120, or you had a really specific music idea in your mind and you just wanted to move to that tempo. Well, you can do that. So over here on the right-hand side, we're going to go to our tempo, and here it is, tap tempo. So right now, I don't know what our tempo is here. It doesn't really matter. We're going to select here. We're just going to tap our tempo, and you can see this box right here is updating. Right now it's at 125. And it's taking the information from our clicks to determine what the tempo is. So if I click really fast, you can see it's judging that. All I have to do is click create and it'll put it in. Very simple, but also very useful. Adding intervals in Dorico is very easy. And a very easy way to do that is to select whatever you want. And then Shift plus I is intervals. And now all you have to do is type the number of what you're looking for. So let's say we want a third above. So we would type 3, and now it's added a third above. And perhaps we want to add 2. So we want a third above this plus a sixth above the F that we're starting on. So we'll go Shift I, and we will go 3, 6, and you can see it's added more intervals. So now that's an easy way that we could have a chord. Let's take a look at this in another way. We could just have, let's find a spot that makes sense to add a chord here. So right here, let's say we want a whole bunch of thirds. So let's go ahead and press Shift plus I, 3, 5, and then maybe -7. And now here we go. That seventh is below as opposed to on top. Now, if we wanted on top, we wouldn't use the minus. So it'd be Shift I, 3, 5, 7. And now we've got seventh chords easily input. Are you curious what your key commands are currently set as? Well, there's an easy way where you can see all of the shortcuts in Dorico. We're just going to go to Help and then Key Commands. And here we have our local hosted, so these are only for us, key commands. You can see for me, I've set up a lot of different things. and they are all organized by global or setup, write mode, whatever. A great way to see this is in here. Let's change the context to, let's say, write mode. And you can see I've set these for the rhythmic grid resolution. So over here, I have a different one. I believe I have whole note, half note, quarter note, eighth note, 16th note, which is really nice and fast. I, of course, also use TouchOSC for this, but if this is something you want to do with your keyboard, this is a great way to visualize what those are. You can also learn what the default keybinds are. So now that we know where our keybinds are, I want to set two up to show and hide signposts. This is a question I get asked a lot. How do I hide those? So let's just go up into Edit, Preferences, and now Key Commands. So let's search for signposts. And you can see here under View, we have set all signposts as hidden or shown. So I'm going to set F11 for me as showing. And now I'm going to set all signposts hidden as F12. And it's letting me know that there's some other things that are going to be overwritten if I do this. Let's go ahead and apply that. And now if I hit F11, I can see these signposts that we were already seeing. And now if I hit F12, nothing happens. Nothing is happening. And the reason nothing is happening is because I already have F12 and F11 set to something. So I'm going to remove those keybinds. So for me, I had whole page view set up, so I'm going to remove that. So now if I hit F12, it hides the signposts. If I hit F11, it brings them back. And this is a really helpful shortcut because often signposts are in the way, and this is a nice way to show and hide them quickly. So let's look at a situation where perhaps we want this viola player to also have the notes from the soprano. There's a few different ways we could do this. We could take this, copy it, paste it in here, and then we could make those into cues. So here with the bottom menu, we're going to scale, normal, and then cue. And now we could just say, using Shift X for text, we could say this is the soprano part. So that's a nice hint, and that's one way to do this. Another way we could show that we may want them to play this alternative part is to add an Ossia staff. So let's go ahead and select this measure here. And what we're going to do is using the jump bar, let's press J and create an Ossia staff above. So now we have this little section, this single measure that'll act kind of as a cue or an alternate passage for our player. So let's select this music we have here, copy, we'll paste that in, and let's again, using Shift X, we're going to note that this is the soprano, just in case there's any confusion. But this is a nice, neat way, especially if something else was going on for our viola section. Of course, here we have just the soloist, but here you could show an alternative passage very cleanly in Dorico. So let's say you have a situation where you have some notes that you've input perhaps from a MIDI keyboard or from copying and pasting it in, and you actually want them respelled differently. For example, we have a B sharp and we also have a D flat, but we're in a key of D major and that would be a C sharp. So you could manually do this. You could select the note. Holding Alt, you could press the plus button or the minus button, and that'll move it by 1 little degree, moving it sharp or flat. But there's another way we could do this. Let's take the whole measure, and then we're going to go to Write, and then Respell, and we're going to respell notes automatically. So we're going to take additional context at start, to the start of the bar, and for right now, we're just going to leave this to the end of the bar, and it's going to take information from the piece to decide how to respell this. We hit OK, and we can see that it moved that B sharp to become a C natural, and that D flat to become a C sharp. So here in our piece, we have a shaker, and they're going to play this little music here a lot. And sometimes that can be difficult to keep track of. So actually, let's take a look at their part. We're going to go to the shaker part here. And you can see here in movement 2, that's kind of a bit to look at. There's an easier way we could show this. And Dorico makes repeats super easy. So there's a few ways we could do this, but what we're going to do is we're going to select from here, the second one, all the way through the rest. We're going to open this panel over here to our repeats. Going down here, we're going to create bar repeat region. And now the nice thing about this is that it's also added in how many repeats we're at. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that makes it so much easier for the player to see and keep track of. Now we have these extra notes here that we don't need. So we're going to select here and then shift select to the very end. We're going to right click, filter, notes and chords, just delete that. Now you may think if you're coming from Finale that you just deleted your music, but Dorico is going to repeat the last music from the last measure. So in your playback, when you hit play from here, it's going to keep playing that previous measure all the way through these counts for you. You don't actually have to hide or mask the notes so that you hear it during the playback. Dorico's just going to know to repeat that previous measure. Now this is amazing, and there's also some additional options. So if we select this, this is our region here, our repeat region, and we could say how often we want the count from, right? So if we were to change that, but of course we want this to be accurate. So this is the 1, 2, 3. This is the fourth measure that they're playing that pattern. We could do the frequency. So right now it's every 4, but if this was a huge section, we could set it up to every 8, and that would be really helpful. There's also something we could do with the appearance. We could use parentheses, without parentheses. This just makes it really fast and easy. You don't have to do anything with text. You don't have to hide anything. It all just works with Dorico when you create a bar repeat region. Isn't that fun? So hopefully these tutorials, these Dorico tutorial shorts, are helpful for you. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, and comment below if you have other questions or ideas for some great hints or tricks for the Dorico community. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.